probably heard about the maximalist. It is the opposite of the minimalist look that we were rocking, you know, that whole clean girl aesthetic thing. It is still having a moment, but people are starting to revert back to a little bit more of a soft glam look. But you know, we had to maturely modify it because what we see on TikTok and Instagram, I mean, who am I kidding? I don't even watch TikTok and I barely am on Instagram, but it is my job to keep up with what is trending in makeup and create those looks, but with those of us with more mature skin in mind. So if you want to take your makeup look from this to this, let's get started. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Jody, I'm 56. Think of me as your midlife beauty bestie and the one that is going to talk you off the ledge when we're having those over 50 moments. You know, the ones that say, I'm happy to cancel any plans. The ones that say, I don't really want to do anything but put on my sweats right now. You know, those of us that are just, we love this part of life, but boy, there are some challenges, so we're gonna do it together. All right, you guys, I love this look. It's kind of my, I wouldn't say I have a signature look, but this is what I default to in the summer when I need a more glammed up look, but I don't wanna be total glam because that just doesn't serve me as well as it used to. Start with hydration. So I do this little prep step first. I'll put all of these products linked down below. You don't have to have these products, get what products you have, but be sure to follow the steps because that's what's most important. This is the Regelica Anti-Aging Cream. I have really loved this. You don't need a lot. And what I love about it is that I could wear just this and my skin looks hydrated literally all day long with this nice little healthy glow. And on days where I don't wear makeup, I do put this on and just allow it to sit, and it just looks like my skin is hydrated, but not just for an hour, for all day. While that is absorbing into my skin, I'll take a little bit of the Dalba Double Serum All-in-One Multi-Balm, take a little bit on my finger. I used to just put this under my eye, but I find that it makes my concealer too slippery, so I like to just add a little bit to my fingers and just dab it underneath where my under eye wrinkles are, where I know I'm going to be applying probably 2 products. So I want that to be hydrated, but I don't want it to be slippery. And I found that when I went in just with this, which I did used to do, I kept having like weird under eye makeup days, and then I realized that's probably just too emollient for the concealer that I'm using. So if you find that, just scale back and use a little bit on your fingers and then dab it in. The other thing is a little bit of Aquaphor. I already have that on my lips. Now I'm gonna go with my sunscreen. This is by La Roche-Posay. This is their UV War Serum Sunscreen, SPF of 50. They've changed the one that I used to use. It's not as available anymore. This is a hydrating serum, which I love and I use a lot because I don't want any hyperpigmentation. And I've been using sunscreen every day for probably, oh gosh, I don't know, 20 years. And I would recommend that if you are not using SPF every day, it's never too late to start. It really is an important step in any makeup, skincare, wellness over 50 routine. I mean, wellness over any age really, because it's just that important. All right, first we're gonna go in with my foundation. And I'm going to use the Angie Hot and Flashy A507 brush, just a nice big fluffy brush. You can use a paddle brush if you like. I like the Nikki LaRose in 17. This is a good one. But because I like a little bit more full coverage, I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush. And I'm going to mix 50-50 of the Rare Beauty. This is the Soft Matte Foundation. I really like this one, but I find it's a little dark and it's pretty matte. And I'm going to mix it with the new Makeup Forever Balance and Perfecting Foundation. They sent this one to me and I really love the formula, the coverage that I get and the finish, but this is way too light. But when I mix these two together, it's the perfect natural finish and the natural shade. I wouldn't normally mix 2 foundations together, but I have them, so I'm going to mix them. Look at the hyperpigmentation. You can see it on my face. I am just going to add, again, because this is a maximalist type look, I'm going in with a full coverage. Now you can always mix these on the back of your hand first. For me, more mature skin, I like to put my foundation on the perimeter of my face where I have less movement and less wrinkles, because wherever you put that brush down first, that's where the most product is going to deposit. So I like that to be in the low movement areas, and then pull that foundation into what I call high movement areas, around your mouth, around your eyes where you're more expressive, because that's where the wrinkles have formed with the blessing of time and life experiences. Now, because I have a little discoloration under my eyes, I'm gonna take what's left on the brush and go over my eyelids, paying attention to this inner corner of your nose that I used to overlook until I realized how important removing that discoloration from the inner corner of my eye was to the finished overall makeup look. So pay special attention with your brush right through here. You can use a beauty sponge, you can use your fingers. I just find with more full coverage makeup, I prefer a brush. I just feel like you get a smoother finish because it's a thicker formula. Typically, a brush will help blend out or blur out any stroke marks where the foundation might show. You know how if you use too thick of a paint, you use a brush, you can see the bristle marks. I like a brush like this, a fluffy brush, to really diffuse any of those lines. I love the look of those two foundations mixed together. It's just the perfect blend of matte, natural finish, and then the color. What I like about a maximalist look like this is you can pull together eye color, lip color, cheek color that is either more warm, more neutral, or more cool, taking into consideration your specific skin tone, your hair color, and then what you're wearing. This is gonna be a pretty neutral look. You could warm this look up by incorporating warmer eyeshadow or blush or lip, or cool it down by bringing in more cool tones. The products I'm using today are gonna leave a more neutral look, which I think is flattering on a lot of different skin types. All right, in terms of concealer, I'm gonna try the new HD Skin Full Coverage Concealer by Makeup Forever. They sent me that foundation I just shared with you, and I did a complete review on that. I'll put that at the end of this video. But they also included 2 of these full coverage concealers. You take off half of the top lid and it has a built-in brush. And then the bottom part of the lid is a traditional doe foot applicator. I'm gonna start with this on the back of my hand. I will leave the shades down below. This is 1 in 14. I'm gonna use the BK Beauty in 19 concealer brush, pick that up, and just go in the corners, outer corner, and then use what's left to neutralize the eyelids. I feel like this concealer is really similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Blur Concealer, which I love. Again, full coverage. It's a little thicker than the RMS Revitalize Concealer. So if you like a lighter formula with light to medium buildable coverage, the RMS Revitalize Concealer is a really good one. I just, for a look like this where we're going a little bit more to the glam side, I prefer a little more full coverage. And I'm just going really on that outer corner of my eye and then taking what's left on the brush to cover up any discoloration that's left in that inner corner, as well as the eyelid, and then pulling that lighter color a little bit down onto the cheek so that this whole under eye area is more bright than the rest of my skin. Then take what's left on the back of your hand and just go right between your eyebrows, a little bit down the nose. Now you might have noticed that a lot of pro makeup artists now, especially on Instagram and TikTok, the makeup look has a little bit of bronzer on the nose. Once I saw somebody do that, I can't unsee it, and I don't understand it. Start looking at some of the younger Instagram photos and look at their nose. You're welcome to add a little bronzer to your nose when we get to that step. I'm not going to include that in our maturely modified maximalist look. To me, this makeup application isn't about looking younger, it's about looking the best version of ourselves so that we go out feeling very confident. Now I'm gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Wand. This is in Pinkgasm. I'm gonna find the outer corner of my eye and bring it down to where my nose starts to curve in. And that's where I wanna put my blush. I'm gonna put it right there. And then I'm gonna go a little exaggerated so you guys can see where this is. Blush placement is a personal preference. There are so many schools of thought, but one thing that we can all agree on is you don't want to go any closer to your nose than 2 fingers. You can see where that lines up right there. And then you want to put it in a little bit of an upward motion. It just gives a little bit of a lifting effect to the face. You don't want that to be so dramatic because it can work against you. If it's too dramatic, you're essentially pulling the face down. So just a little bit of a nice natural lift. I think this is such a flattering color. Again, If you want to go more warm, you could use a softer brown, for example. And then I will just go in with my fingers and softly blend this out so that I'm blurring the edges. So you can't really see where the blush starts or stops. Now you can bring this much closer to your eye. I'm not really a big fan of that. I will go a little bit in the trough, but not real close to my under eye area. Again, that's just a personal preference. It is a trend to do that. I don't prefer trendy makeup looks on my more mature skin. I feel like it looks like I tried too hard. I think I just have a too heavy of a hand sometimes. So I have to lean to kind of old school, classic, pretty makeup versus more trendy. But you guys, you know how I feel about that. There are no rules in makeup. You do whatever makes you feel the most confident. All right, next we're gonna go in with a little bit of contour slash bronzer. This is by Rare Beauty. Again, all these will be linked down below. This is in the shade Mellow, if you're looking to use the same shades that I do. This is one of the few products that I will go in directly on my skin. A big rule for more mature makeup is to typically put anything on the back of your hand and then pick it up. But this is the one product that I'm going to do it this way because I think it's easier for you to see where it goes when I put it directly on my face. This is a nice formula because it's creamy, so it's very blendable. It's forgiving on more mature skin. And the shade Mellow, it works perfect for me because it's just about 1 to 2 shades darker than my foundation. If you are looking for a bronzer this summer, a good rule of thumb is don't go any darker than 2 shades darker than your foundation. For a more natural look, I would really stick with about 1 shade, and I think that's probably where I am with this one. And again, that is in shade Mellow. Then going in with this fan brush, this is also by BK Beauty, the N18 brush. And I'm just gonna softly blend that bronzer slash contour. And the reason I'm saying contour slash bronzer is because I'm not trying to sculpt my face. I'm just trying to add a little bit of sun, a little bit of color so that it looks as though I have some contours, but not sculpting. I'm just trying to highlight the natural contours of my face. Your face goes back, so there's contour through here. I'm not trying to sculpt it and make cheekbones that I don't have. I'm just trying to add a little bit of shadow where I have natural contours. I hope that makes sense. It should take out some of the mystery of contouring slash bronzing. I'm just gonna take that all the way around my hairline. Make sure that that bronzing product blends softly into your blush, not overlapping, because you don't want to create a muddy look. You want to just go right to that blush line. And then softly blend it out. When you're working on the jaw, make sure that that brush goes right on the angle, not too high, not too low, right on the angle of your jaw, and then blend underneath. That gives us the best optical illusion to hide any double chin that we have. And then I like to just take what's left on the brush, and there's hardly anything left on the brush, and just go on the side of my nose. Again, I'm not trying to sculpt or contour. I'm just trying to, I don't know why I do that. I think it's just a habit. Now I'm gonna take the Rare Beauty highlighter and just with the smallest amount go on my tips of my finger, put it between, this is really, you guys, the smallest amount. And I'm just gonna go right where I started that blush and leave it right there. I'm not trying to go up with it. I'm not trying to streak anything, just right here, because that helps brighten up our face. And as we've gotten older, our face tends to kind of, dare I say, mush together because of the loss of collagen. And adding a little bit of highlighter right here on the apples, if you will, of your cheeks just opens up this part of the face a little bit better. Next, let's go to eyebrows. I have recently switched from taupe to blonde with my eyebrow pencil, and you guys, I gotta be honest, I'm really struggling with it. When I see a polished, pulled together makeup look, they really do have a lighter brow, big brows, but lighter than the rest of their makeup. And I just love my bolder brows. And I have darker roots, so I feel like I can get away with it, but I have switched to this blonde. I don't know how long I'll stick with it. It probably does leave me with a more polished look, but you know what I mean? We like what we like, and we've done our makeup a certain way forever. Is there something that you guys feel like you should change? And by should, I mean you just think it's maybe an outdated technique or an outdated look, and you're like, I probably should change that, but and it probably looks better, but I just like what I like. For me, it's a darker brow, and I struggle with this lighter brow, but I'm trying to, what do they say, 20 days is a habit. So I'm trying to give myself the 20 days. But what I find is that I go over the brow so much with the blonde to make it darker that somehow I feel like I'm winning. And it's just a stupid game with myself. Just as important as the shade when selecting a brow pencil is to select one that is one shade warmer than you would typically have used on your more mature skin. Because as we get older, we lose pigment in our eyelashes, in our eyebrows. We tend to lose a little bit of color in our skin and our lips, and everything looks a bit cool when you can warm up the face without going too warm. A nice place to start that is with your brows. And you'd be surprised how a slightly warmer brow warms up the whole face, again, without you trying to look too young, but it does add a more youthful appearance. And I hesitate when I say that because, again, my channel is not to show you how to look 20. My channel is really designed to help you feel your most confident so you can continue to show up in life and feel good about the way you are looking. And that's my biggest hope. I think as we get older, we do learn that we don't need to have such a filter. We do learn that we're more comfortable in our own skin. But I also think that we've learned to feel less than, and I am fighting that. No, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna just show up with a full face of makeup if we want. I mean, if you wanna go to the gym with a full face of makeup, I say go for it. I mean, that's what life at our age is all about. We're done with the rules. And I mean, I know my subscribers, many of you haven't really ever played by the rules, which is why I love you, because you're just a bunch of trendsetters in your own right. And I love that we have found each other. We have found our people, bold brows or not. Remember, brows are meant to be sisters, not twins. I like to do my brows across the bottom to give myself a straight line and frame the shape that I want, and then go back in and add little brow strokes to give myself a little bit more of a natural brow shape. And for a look like this where you're going a little more full coverage glam, I think a bolder brow helps set that look. Now we're gonna move on to eyes. I'm just gonna give my eyelashes a quick little curl, going right to the root of the lashes, a couple little squeezes, and then work my way out so that they don't go out and straight up, but they kind of get a little bit of a bend to them all the way up to the end. Next, I'm gonna grab Mauve, which is a cream eyeshadow by Makeup by Mario, and I'm just gonna go in this outer corner of my eye. And from the lash line up to the crease, about the width of that doe foot applicator. So right here, tap, tap, tap into the crease. Right here, tap, tap, tap into the crease. Now these do dry down pretty quickly, but not so quickly that you can't work with them. Then I'm gonna take a large fluffy brush. This is the A503 by BK Beauty from the Angie Hot and Flashy collection. And I'm just gonna make small swirls up into that crease, past the crease, a little bit towards the brow, and then smudge the inside line on the lid just ever so slightly, and then take what's left and go into the crease. I'm not putting anything else on the lid, and I'm not putting on any other eyeshadow. We're just gonna add a slight bit of shadow to that outer corner. So see when that's blended, you can't see that there's a product there, you just see a natural curve to the eyeball, which is essentially all we're trying to do. For my makeup look nowadays, eyeshadow is really used as a tool to give dimension versus a makeup look. I'm not as much of a fan of eyeshadow as I used to be, and I feel like part of it is because my eyelids are starting to droop, so I just have a different shape eye to work with. So that's challenging. And then the wrinkles on the lids, if I just put on too many colors or the wrong finish, shimmer for example, I just feel like it makes me look older. So I like to stick with mattes and creams and very neutral colors and the smallest amount just to give some dimension. It's like using contour or bronzer on your face. Exact same concept applies for your eyes. Next, I'm gonna go with some eyeliner. This is Mature Beauty's Chocolate Brown. I like to use it when it has a little bit of a softer tip. Very easy to work with. I'm gonna go into the outer corner, slightly above my lashes. Not trying to create a wing. At about 1/4 of the way in, I'm gonna bring that eyeliner into the lash line and create small little strokes. All the way to the inner corner. If you have not tried this eyeliner yet, you guys, you are missing out. Then I'm gonna go onto the waterline. Now this is by design not a waterproof eyeliner because Gabby's own words, she wanted you to be able to move it in place before it sets up. And I put it in my waterline even though it's not a waterproof formula, and I find that it does not transfer. You just gotta give it time to set up. Now I don't wanna smudge any of this, so I'm gonna leave the top like that. So just a little bit above the lash line, and then right about the 1/4 mark of your lash line, put that eyeliner right on the lash line. That gives you a little bit of a lift. And then I'm gonna go right here. And again, I'm not trying to go on that flat part of your eyelid. I'm really going from this angle to push that eyeliner right at my lash line. Not the watermark so much as the lash line itself. Now before this eyeliner sets up, I like to take my fingers and just pull the outer corner up so slightly because you have time to work with this eyeliner before it sets. But then once it sets, you've got a gorgeous look for hours. Using that same eyeliner, I'm gonna go across the bottom, small strokes right at the lash line, and then I'm gonna stop halfway through. Remember in our high school days, that was the look, you stopped right there. Using the angled brush on this eyeliner, I'm going to just smudge that eyeliner up into my lash line, working this outer corner first, giving a little bit of an angle, and then going with what's left on the brush, the smallest amount of product, and define that inner corner of my eye. Again, small strokes here, easy to control, and a nice smudge look on the bottom lash. If you're thinking Christmas in July like I do, these eyeliners are a must in the stocking of anybody that you know that likes makeup. And they're $25 each, which I think is an extremely affordable price for a good eyeliner, because even drugstore eyeliners nowadays are up to like $19. So for $6 more, you get a luxury product. And they bundled them together where you can get 5 of them for $100. So I would be sure to check that out. And then my last step around the eyes is I'll always go back with a little bit of concealer using the tip of that brush and just go one more time, one nice straight line to clean up that eyeliner and that eyeshadow so that everything looks very crisp and intentional. Add 1.5 coats of mascara. I thought I grabbed my brown one, but this is actually their black one. And by 1.5, I mean you're gonna do 1 coat right at the base of your lashes, wiggling it back and forth, and then pulling it to the end. That is 1 coat. And then the 1/2 coat comes from going back to the root, just a little bit of a wiggle, and don't pull it all the way through that time. You really want to build up that product right at the root of your lashes, because as we've gotten older, we've lost some volume to our lashes, not only the lash itself, but the amount of lashes or the number of lashes that we have. So when you can thicken up the product just at the base, think about your lash as a Christmas tree. If you can put a little bit more product at the base of your Christmas tree, it just makes the whole thing look fuller at the base. Is that a good analogy? Not really. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. We just want to build up that product right at the root, and we've added that eyeliner above the lash and in the lash. All of those things help give dimension and depth as well as definition to your eyes. Now you can add some mascara to your lower lashes if you want to. I don't tend to love to do that anymore. I like a softer smudged out look of my eyeliner on the bottom and then everything really crisp on top. All right, moving on to lip liner. We are going in with Victoria Beckham's lip pencil. This is in shade number 2. I talk about this a lot, you guys, because this is the perfect shade of, it's kind of like Spice from Jane Iredale. It's like a rustic mauve. It is a neutral tone, maybe a little on the cool side, but it can pull warm on the right skin tone. I think that's why I like it so much, is because it can play either way. It really works well with whatever lipstick shade you're gonna wear, whether it's warm or cool. Now with this pencil, I'm going to use small strokes to line my lips. I'm gonna go a little bit outside of the line, starting with small strokes in the center in both the top and the bottom lip, and then work my way out to the corners, leaving the very corners without any lip liner on it. And then I'm just gonna take my finger and smudge that so that I don't have any harsh lines. Next, I'm gonna go in with the Victoria Beckham lipstick in the shade Girl. I'm gonna talk about the perfect mauve-y nude. This is it. Now, a quick tip with any makeup look, before I start the look, I kind of have an idea of what I want it to look like, but then I'll pull my lipstick, any eyeshadow that I'm gonna wear, and then my blush, and I'll just put the 3 of them on the back of my hand to see, do I like the way these look together? Am I missing some color? Do I want a contrast? Do I want something more bold? Because I like a soft glam or a maximalist look that looks pulled together and polished, I like these to have the same undertone. It just, to me, looks more sophisticated and pulled together, but I'm not really experimental or bold when it comes to my makeup look. If you are, then that's the place to really get creative and change things up, is going with everything a little more muted and then a bright lip, or everything a little more muted and a really bold eye. I like a little bit more, I don't know, boring perhaps, some could say, look to my makeup. From here, the last thing we're gonna do is add some setting spray. I'm going in with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless. Setting spray is in an X, and then a T about 8 to 10 inches away from your face. Allow that to dry. And you have a maximalist makeup look, maturely modified, so we can be part of the trend too, without looking like we tried too hard, and still owning our face and our makeup look in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever decade you are in. I hope you are rocking a maximalist look for whatever events you have coming up, or in my case, just out every day. This is my more go-to look. There is days where I like a no makeup look, but right now I'm liking this look. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Are you more of a no makeup person? Think about in general. On average, are you more of a minimalist or a maximalist? Is that the way I say that? Maximalist. Nowadays, what side of the fence are you in when it comes to your makeup on average? All right, you guys, as I promised, here's that video with that new foundation from Makeup Forever. Really impressed with it. It wasn't sponsored. They did send it to me, but they didn't pay me to talk about it. I'm pretty impressed with how that makeup holds up on more mature skin. It was designed for women with more mature skin, so I love that. As always, all the products I used as well as the shades that I used will be linked down in the description box below. I hope you guys like this look. More importantly, I hope you are enjoying your summer, and I'll see you in just a couple days. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.